Hello, you may have clicked on this video because you want to see how a scope mount is mounted to an SKS, or how a Birchwood Woodstock restainer finisher kit is used. If you did that for one or the other, here you are. I'll do the scope mount, and I'll do the refinishing, and I'll have it in chapters, so you can skip to what you may want to see, or you can see the whole thing. But what I want to do is darken the wood to a darker color. What I have to use is walnut, but we'll see how that looks. As far as this, I don't really care for this color, to be honest. And there is a little divot as far as the stock goes, which was there when I bought it for whatever reason. And then refinish it, put on scope mount, and be happy. So the color I'm kind of going for is this color. I don't know if it's going to match up with what I'm going to be using, which is the Tru Oil system here, I guess, if you want to call it a system. This one has Stain, Tru Oil, and Sheen. The Sheen I may experiment with because I want the shiny. I'd like to have a shiny stock, but maybe if the Sheen looks good, I'll do the Sheen. I'll show that. I know some of these, or the ones I've seen videos of people doing wood stocks, they exclude some of this product, but I'll do all of them, so everyone can see what the difference is. But I will be using a sealer and filler just to fill in whatever grain things that are throughout the wood stock, to make it smooth. And that's what I'm going for. We'll see how it works, and we'll do that. But the scope mount, I'm gonna do this one as a Choate, is how it's pronounced, I guess. I'm gonna put this on. I'm gonna do the little cutout that needs to be done, and what I've seen online is, I don't want to say it's done poorly, but it's done. And so, do the scope mount, do the stock, and I may be covering, I don't know if I'm going to actually destroy any of the serial number there, but there is the same serial number on the bolt. And then, but what I may do, if I need to, is restamp the opposite side of the receiver with the serial number, just to keep as legal as I can, if that's what's needed. I'm not sure with what I have and what I'm going to do. There's two serial numbers. Not sure if it matters, but I'll do it just to make whoever happy when if they ever look at the gun or whatever. It's that's my plan. So anyway, I'll break up the segments. You can go to which one you want, and thanks for viewing if you follow through all the way. All right, I got everything disassembled except for this spreader or hanger feature in the gun. I'm not going to take this out because it's staked on the other side, so I'm just going to leave it in there. I'll just cover it up with some painter's tape. Okay, so I have my mount on the receiver, held on with the clamp. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I have it straight. This calls for, 1.5 inches from the end of here to the end of the receiver. And then as far as height goes, the Choate mount instructions say, gotta have enough height to be able to get stuff out. But what I'm doing, I'm just gonna be lazy because I don't want to go through all that. I'm just gonna follow the visual instructions that they have and mount it in the location height-wise that they show on their print, which is right here. So yeah, you got 1.5 inches from the end, and then just visually, it's I'm just gonna mount it as it's represented here, and I think that should be good enough. If it's not, you guys will find out, but I don't think it's gonna be any issue. They just want to make sure there's enough clearance to get the cover off and so forth, and I don't think that's going to be an issue because you don't have to pull the cover up that high to slip it out. So we should be good with how I have it mocked up here. I'm just going to use a pin and a silver pin, a Sharpie, and just dot the locations as far as as far as the height goes. From the end, I'll dial to them. All right, here I am picking up my X and Y zeros, and I'm going to center drill. First hole I'm checking to make sure that the chamfer is big enough so when I tap it I don't have to go back and rechamfer it. And I'm going to go ahead and drill it. Roughly check the locations. And I'm going to go ahead and tap the 4 holes with a 8x40 tap. Eight by 40 seems to be a common thread for aftermarket parts anyway on guns. It's the second time I've used the 840. And then on the last hole here, I had a little oopsie, taking the tap out after everything was threaded. Maybe it was a tap, maybe probably it was me, but the tip of the tap broke off in the threaded hole. Had a few more turns before it came out. And there she is, and then I'm just going to use essentially a drift pin to tap it around, and it came out fairly easy. Could have been worse. And just hit the holes with the Q-tip, clean out. Then I checked the holes to make sure everything threaded fine. And I put blue tape on the stock and I penciled off where the mount was gonna go. And I used a 2-degree block to hold the stock up against the back jaw so I could mill out the slot.
I just used a 3/8 end mill and plunged it down and ran it down the length of what I needed. Then I went back and forth a couple of times just to clean it up and give it a little more gap. It looks pretty good. A little more on the bottom than I wanted, but that's all right.
All right, here's the stock stripped down to nothing but the stock. I'm going to start sanding. I'll do each of the processes as instructed. With the sandpaper they provide, and they provide, you know, 120, 280, 400, and they also provide some steel wool to knock down whatever stuff. So I'm going to go through each of these grits. I've already started this one, to be honest, and so I'm going to go ahead and continue through the rest of the stock. The first sanding is always the toughest as far as removal. The subsequent ones are pretty easy because you're just hitting the surface. You're not really changing anything. So I'll do that. At some point, I'll fill this up in that one and sand that down to flush and see where we go. So I'll finish this out, show you when it's done, and I'll do each of the other ones, show you those as I complete them before going on to staining it. All right, here's first pass at the 120. Looks pretty good. I'll hit it again with my last sheet of 120 and continue on. But here's, just wanted to pop in and show you where I filled the divot there and the little one there. I'll let this stuff, it says a couple hours to dry. So I let it dry up and sand it in, blend it in, and continue on. Okay, here's the first sanding complete as far as I'm concerned. Looks good enough for me. I filled this, sanded it out. There's that little divot, and all the rest of this looks good. Didn't get in here so well, but I don't think that's gonna hurt anything. Got this side, everything else. All right, on to the second sanding, and I'll show you what that looks like if it looks any different. All right, here's the third sanding with the 280. Looking good. It's smoother, getting smoother. I only have one more grit to go, and then we should be, or I should be good to put the stain on, which would be the next step after this. And there's a number of steps to that depending on, what kind of darkness I want or color. So anyway, on to the next one, last one. All right, here's the final sanding, 400, nice and smooth, which is, I suppose, how they want it. It's ready for staining, which I'll film that. And I know I didn't really show you the sanding part because how exciting is that? But I'll set up and I'll show you the staining. You know, enough of it anyway. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I mean, I'll show you the whole thing. And then we'll see how this turns out with the stain. I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen with that. But anyway, going to stain the inside too, just with stain. I'm not going to use any oil on it or anything. I'm just going to make sure it's kind of the same color as the outside. Anyway, there it is so far. I think it's looking pretty good for being sanded. But we'll see. We'll see the next step. All right, so here we have the walnut stain, and they say mix it 50-50 essentially, and then use a lint-free cloth or rag. They provided this, a couple of these. Looks lint-free to me. I'm guessing this is what they want me to use. I'll use some gloves and then go from there. So let's mix this 50-50. I did shake it already. All right, we'll see how exact my 50-50 is here. Gonna use some distilled water. So this is kind of guesstimation. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but as long as it's close, I would imagine. I should probably err on the side of darker or not as diluted stain. So I think that's good enough. We'll see how it goes on. It looks like it's mixed up. So all right, so we have the stock. I blew it off, compressed air, whatnot. So should be good enough. Shouldn't say should be good enough, but you kind of know what I mean. Not like I'm going for extreme perfection. All right, well, this looks interesting. Let's see how it goes on. Oh, oh no, this is weird. Let's see how that goes. Maybe I should put more dye in it. See how it goes. As you can tell, I'm a big talker. I'll probably have to put another coat on here, right? I want it darker. This is like what it is. It's my little divot right now. Still showing. Now I did read online through a reviews before I bought this, Amazon. One guy said, and he looked all this stuff up because he's about to give up on this because he says like the first coat, looked like trash, let's say, but he put on more. So I'll do it another one, or maybe that was a Tru Oil. But regardless, I'll go through all of it and and figure out what we come up with. Because in the end of the day, it's going to be what it is. There's no redos or do-overs, that's for sure. All right, so you know what? Actually, they didn't really say. You know, I had to wait for in between coats on this, right? But on the Tru Oil, you do. You got to do a coat, and then let it wait, and then do it again, however many times you want for whatever desired shininess you want to the stock. All right, so that is that. So, well, that's the walnut color, isn't it? Not as dark as I envisioned. Now, let's see. Well, you know, maybe once the Tru Oil's on there, maybe that's it. Anyway, I'm going to dump some more dye into here, and then I'm going to hit it again and see if that darkens it up. If it doesn't, then it is what it is, and we're done with this process. All right, there's no mistaking it now. All right, let's see what this new concentration does. Well, it looks darker. All right. Looks darker. Looks like it lightens up when it starts drying out. All right, so much for that. Well, at least it's covered. So we'll let this dry and see what it looks like. Okay, so here we are, next day, 24 hours after staining the stock. Looks kind of interesting, but it is brown. It has a ash look to it, so we'll see how it goes. As far as what I did here, I do have, if I can find it, I had this laying around. I'm going to use one of these, essentially, I'll call it a Sharpie, but just a marker. And I'm just going to darken this and that, better hide what's there. I don't think once I get everything done, it's going to be hidden that well, but maybe this will help. And then, so once I do this, I'm going to go ahead and use a sealer filler. This isn't in the kit, but it's part of their product line. And that's just going to fill in whatever grain is there to make it a smoother finish. So I'm going to do this, and it says, do it once, and if it doesn't do it as well as you thought, do it again. So I'm going to do this once, and then go ahead and see how that goes, and do it again if needed. All right. Well, as you can see, I touched it up. Well, it's better than a lighter one. So it's darker, uh, and maybe once everything is done, maybe it'll blend in better. But it's looks better than what it was as far as being obvious, and maybe it'll be less obvious once I'm complete with everything. All right, before I use the sealer and filler, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with some steel wool just to knock down whatever is there. I mean, it feels pretty good, but you know, I have this. It came with the kit. I'll use it to knock down whatever imperfections that I don't really see, but just to make it smoother. All right, so just steel wool that down. I'm not using a tack cloth because I don't have one. So I'm just gonna blow it off. I'm shaking this already, but shake it a little more. Just punch a hole in it. And we'll just do this. All right, seems more like oil. It's okay. They say put enough on, but not too much. So I'm not sure what they mean by that. But we'll just go ahead and rub it on. And they said generously, but they said not too much. So I'm not sure what that means, but we'll do it generously because once it's on, they say let it dry, sand it, see how it looks, and do it again if you need it. So a little too much is okay. All right. This is any indication. It's dark there where I touched it up, and that's better than what it was. So we're doing better. I would imagine they're saying use a lot just to make sure you leave enough in there to fill whatever grain is there. Yeah, my chair is getting a workout here. And this is a sealer, they say, so that's okay. So I may do the inside as well, just to seal it. I guess they mean generously because soaks in and okay. So it's coated. I'll let it sit for 60 minutes, like it says. And I guess they say sand it because there might be some shiny spots or, maybe just to knock it down to a consistent texture. Uh, and we'll go from there. Or I forget. All right. So we put on the sealer and filler. It's been a couple hours. Here's dry. Uh, so they want you to sand it lightly, and I can see why, because it's just kind of like whatever. Little, you can see something's been put on the stock. So I'm assuming just to knock down whatever it put on and make it more uniform for the oil, which I'm not going to do. I'm just going to hit this with sandpaper like they recommended, and I'm going to put on a second coat. And so when we come back, uh, I'll be done with that process, and we'll put on our first coat of oil uh, and see what that looks like. Anyway, continue on. All right, here is the second coat of the sealer and filler. It's been more than 24 hours and it's dry. Feels crusty, right? I mean, it's a sealer, little roughness to it, but that'll all smooth out once I hit it with fine sandpaper and maybe the steel wool. And once I do that, when I come back, it'll be ready for the first coat of Tru Oil, and we'll start that process of however many coats it's going to take to make me happy. Anyway, we'll be back. Okay, so I sanded the sealer filler and steel wooled it and blew it off with compressed air. So now I'm going to put on the first coat of Tru Coat. It says use your fingers or you can use a towel. I'll use my fingers. Uh, and then it says, let dry for a couple of hours, scuff and buff and repeat however many times you want. So here's going to be the first coating. Already shaking the bottle. Shake it a little more. Not sure how much I'll need, but I'll start with that much. Go with the grain. If you do use a paper towel, like on the sealer, I use a paper towel. Put that stuff outside when you're done because it has distillates and it can combust. So just to be safe. Seems like this goes a little goes a long way. got it covered. Just looking for runs and just smoothing those out if there are any, if you get any. But that wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, you sand them out, but I have to do less of that. All right, so there's the first coat, Tru Oil, and we'll let that set up and come back when it's dried, and I'll show you what it is before I scuff and buff it again and put on another coat. Okay, so this is the first coat. Been in at least a couple hours, and it looks good with what it looks like. I do have some slight runs, so I guess I got to apply it less thick. But there's just a few minor. I mean, they look pretty super. They're not blobs. So I'm going to go ahead and sand this out, scuff it, and put on another coat, and hopefully not get any runs. But I'll get to where there aren't any in the final coats. Uh, I'll show you this when I start applying the second coat after I'm done sanding and scuffing. All right, here it is after sanding down the runs and scuffing it up again. This time I'll be more careful to hopefully not get any runs. We'll see what happens. Upper part first. So I'll just spread it thinner. You know, if I have to do more coats, that's fine. All right, so there's the second coat. Hopefully no runs or not many runs anyway. We'll let this set up and do it again. All right, here's a second coat. Looking good, not any runs like the first one. I had a number of them, to be honest. Small, but whatever. The only thing I do have is a little schmigma going on here. So I'm going to sand this down or out or however you want to call it. Then I'm going to scuff it up and put on another coat. All right. Third time around. This third coat. Hang it up. See what happens. Okay. 3 coats. Overall, I like it. It looks good. No runs. I do have a little thing where I had to resand. It's not as shiny, so hopefully that'll come out in the following coats. And then there's a couple of other spots that I appear to have missed. So I'm just going to scuff it up with steel wool and put on another coat. Okay, that's the 4th coat, and we'll hang it up and do it again. All right, so I've got a number of coats on here. It looks shiny. It looks good. I like it. It's what I was going for as far as color and shininess, but I did mention I was going to do the full kit, which means using the stock sheen and conditioner. So I'm going to do a section of the buttstock and see how it looks and contrast it with what's already there. Now it says just pour some on a clean cloth and lightly buff it or rub it. So just put some on a cloth, lightly buff it in or rub it in, light pressure it says, and then once it dries, buff it off. It might be a lot, I don't know. So we'll just do a section. I don't know how long it takes to dry. I may have to wipe some off, but we'll see. And we'll see how this. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll go with it, or maybe I won't. But we'll see how it affects the look. So not a lot of pressure here, but I can already see it doing its thing. So to be fair, it doesn't look bad either. But we'll see once we get it buffed off. All right, so that's kind of buffed in there. I'll just turn the cloth inside out or flip it and then buff it. All right. So we have shiny. We have the matte, I guess, if you want to call it that. You know, I don't know if it's really coming through on the camera, to be honest. But it kind of it dulls it, so obviously it's not shiny. But I think I like the shiny better, to be honest, for me. But you know, everyone has their preferences, and I was really actually going for the shiny aspect of the stock, or to have a shiny stock, and not so much a muted surface or a dulled surface. But that's kind of what the difference is. Again, I'm not sure if it's really coming through on the camera, but hopefully it is. And that's what we have. So with that being said, and doing this comparison, even though I know it's not the whole stock, and you know, maybe it makes it, you know, visually it'll be different if the whole thing's done, but I really like the shininess of the stock, and not so much the muted aspect of it. I mean, I got other guns with not shiny wood stocks, Winchester AE94 and my M1A, but this one I wanted shiny, just because. And I think I'll go ahead and just scuff this and buff this and reapply some Tru Oil and do a couple of more coats on the Tru Oil. And then when we come back here in a second, I'll have the rifle fully assembled and show you what it looks like all together. All right, just a little follow-up. When I was scuffing this off with the steel wool that comes in the package, it seemed to really make it look better in doing that. You know, not that I'm gonna not keep the shiny, but it did even out everything and make it look more uniform as far as the satin finish or matte finish or dull finish, whatever you want to call it, is concerned. So it does looks better after hitting it with the steel wool on this portion. But I just wanted to do a quick follow-up just to show you that, because I figured you'd want to see that if that was the case. Anyway, I'll go back to what I was doing. All right, here's my closing thoughts on what you've just seen, if you got it this far. But as far as doing the staining and the gun oil and all the other stuff, I think it did pretty good. I mean, I like it. I accept it. I like it. I'm not unhappy with it. Could I have done better? Sure. I could have done a lot better, maybe. I could have done a lot worse too. But I think overall, I think the kit works as intended. Should you be wanting to do something like this to one of your gun stocks? I know some of these YouTube people out there that I've viewed. I mean, they're using these nice, pristine, brand new stocks where they just, I mean, you just gotta smear it on and it turns out, pretty darn nice. But if you're just reworking a stock that you have on a gun you want or like, and want to make it better, I think the kit does what it says it does. And with that, I do like the overall finish of the rifle. It's a lot better than what it was, I think, before I started. Now, if you're also viewing it because of the scope mount, the scope mount, put it on, Loctite screws in a little bit. The scope mount, I'm not sure I would do it if I didn't have a mill or something like that. I mean, if you get a free hand doing this, you can do it. I think I've seen some people do that. But the screw heads fit pretty close. So if you're off any bit, it's going to make a difference as far as holding it on or having them seat as you would like. But so if you can't do it like how I showed it, maybe a gunsmith or something. But with that, I got the scope mount, I got the shell deflector that'll keep from hitting the high quality Simmons scope, which, I know it's a Simmons scope, but it's not a Shanghai Optics or something, although maybe it is. And I actually got this off of Walmart. They were dumping them for like $16 a kit, so I bought a couple, which I thought was amazing because Midway has them for $80, and List is supposedly $120. But I do like it. I have another one on lever action, and it's clear. I mean, it's fine. Maybe not what everybody wants on the rifle, but I think it fits the capabilities of the SKS here. And then I got the cheek riser pad that I was trying to match, and I think it matches good enough. I like it. It really does make a difference as far as, looking down the scope. I mean, that's phenomenal as far as being able to, it just kind of all works together. So if there's any questions, or you have any questions or suggestions or just anything, comment, go ahead and do that. Give a like on the video if you're inclined. Not so much into subscriptions. I'm just some guy out here putting stuff out on the internet, and it doesn't really matter, to be honest, although it's appreciated. So with that, if you found any value, yeah, please give a like. Anyway, there you go. That's it. The end. Put this one to bed. I'm done with it. And I have a couple of videos of other guns I'm done with it. But this is another one to where I'm not going to really do anything else with it. Anyway, have a good day.